I'm Oprah as a dude, and I love you all. Great, here we go. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Reyes Reflection podcast. Be nice and tell a friend to listen to the pod. Don't forget to follow me on those socials at I'm Nathanael Reyes. Per usual, I got to talk about those folks that keep the lights on. ARAVE cards, Jocko fuel, SMACKIN sunflower seeds, and Mad Rabbit tattoo aftercare. Check out my exclusive deals in my link tree for all those sites. Now, intro time for my next guest. Get ready for an electrifying conversation with the powerhouse lead singer of Midnight Rambler. You may also recognize her from NBC's The Voice, where her unforgettable blind audition left all four coaches fighting for her talent. Since then, she has continued to captivate audiences with her dynamic performances and original music, from rocking out at venues to performing the national anthem for the Minnesota Vikings. So without further ado, please welcome the wonderful Frankie Torres. Welcome to the pod.
Hi, thank you for having me. Super excited to be here.
Of course. Thank you so much for doing this. We were just talking off camera how Central Time, Eastern Time, but we made it work.
Yeah.
We figured it out.
I'm really bad at it. Oh my gosh, you really did your research. I'm really excited for that.
You know, I had an interview about a week ago, and I spoke to them, and I said, I never did my research during high school, middle school, anything like that, but I do it for things that are important, and I find that this is important.
You do it for things you care about. That completely makes sense. Yeah.
That's right. That's the best way to put it.
Yep.
So, Frankie, walk me through this. You were born and raised in
Minnetonka, Minnesota.
Okay,
Yep.
okay. I'm sure you probably have gotten that said incorrectly many, many times in your life.
It's funny. I think the prefix Minna is like water in the Native American language that Minnesota is like kind of named after. So there's so many Minnas. There's Minnetrista, Minnewashta, Minneapolis, Minnetonka. It's all over. But yeah, it's all good. Don't worry about it.
I didn't even realize that. And then you have it in Minnesota, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Like it probably geographically is just a very strong place where the Native American population
it is, yeah.
Heavily influenced.
Yeah, so the Minnesota, like the Midwest, there's definitely a very strong Native American population there. And we are more recently trying to be more respectful to the land that we've been occupying, obviously. I'm not Native American, I'm actually Mexican American. Well, actually, I technically am Chicana, which is native to like the Arizona area, but I'm not native to the Midwest. But anyways, that doesn't really have anything to do with my singing. But yeah, I have been singing my entire life. I was just talking about it to a friend that I'm pretty sure I had been singing before I could talk, which is normal to me. But apparently he was like, oh my God, you're a prodigy. I was like, that's like everyone on The Voice, I feel like. But in addition to that, I am a huge animal rights activist. I have been fostering dogs for over 10 years now with my family, and I am a mental health advocate. I work in social work, and I have a lot of hobbies, honestly. Living on the lake, I'm a big swimmer. I just like to do a lot of things, but I'm very artsy. Music has always been my number one passion.
We'll unpack everything that you said there. So, singing. You talked about how that was always something that you did as a kid. Can you recall a specific moment when you realized this is what I want to do for the rest of my life?
Yeah, I actually do have a very specific moment. I wrote my college entrance paper on it, actually. When I was 14, I was performing the Prior Lake Music Festival. I might have been 13, I don't know. Which is this big festival in Minnesota, like 15,000 people. And we played 5 sets. We were playing in between Sugar Ray, Uncle Cracker, Blues Traveler, and Smash Mouth. So I got to meet all of them, and it was really cool, playing for Smash Mouth, basically. It was really cool. But awesome. So I was performing a song that I didn't normally get to sing, and it was Heartbreaker by Pat Benatar, which is one that I've always loved for my whole life. But I was singing it, and there's this bridge where all the instruments cut out, and it's just me singing. And I was singing, and I could hear the thousands of people in the crowd singing back to me. And the feeling was euphoric, and realizing that like this could be something in the future, possibly with my own lyrics, like being on stage and having thousands of people like paying attention to me, but like singing back to me, and like that connection was like, I have to be doing this for the rest of my life.
Yeah. Yeah. Isn't it awesome how for you, like you had that realization in your head where you're like, this is it. This is my calling. It's got to be one of the most euphoric things in the world because you just finally feel free. You're like, wow, this is what I love. This is what I love to do, especially in art like singing, right? It is an art. It's a form of art. So for you to be able to find that your passion, make it your vocation, it's got to be a really enriching feeling.
Yeah, it's kind of like I'd say it's a double-edged sword kind of, because it is very freeing. I very much like knowing that you have that passion since, I mean, I started performing when I was like 8 years old. So like I knew that I had that passion, and that was like the dopamine of being on stage is like, I understand why Elvis did drugs, because like it makes sense. But it's amazing and it's freeing, and it is definitely 100% my passion, but it also can be stressful because it's not like, if my passion was to be a doctor, it's very hard, but like I have to put in the work and I can become a doctor. But when you're an artist, you can put in all the work in the world, and a lot of it will come down to luck and connections, and it can be stressful at times. And I have struggled with it, where, especially prior to The Voice, when you've been working for, over a decade, and you've been putting in the work, and people around you see that you deserve it, but it's so hard. There's so many talented people in the world, and it's a lot of it's just kind of down to who sees you when, and it's kind of a intimidating feeling.
Yeah, because it's not like your typical career. Like you said, if you were a doctor, you want to be a teacher, you want to be a vet, you have specific steps. And in some cases, yeah, you might have to work for it. I'm not discrediting
Yeah, it's very
that,
hard.
but you can get a job pretty easily unless you do something unethical.
Yeah.
Whereas for singing or anything art related, you can dedicate years and years before you even get recognized, right? Like we've all seen the stories where actresses and actors, singers, where they don't get any recognition. I think I read something, or somebody told me in an interview one time, that Vincent van Gogh, none of his paintings were popular or purchased when he was alive.
Yeah.
It was after. So imagine that, right? He dedicated his entire life to art, and he never saw the fruits of his labor. And so you're right. It is a double-edged sword because there's a lot of things that go behind the scenes. I give a lot of respect to singers because I think, even for myself, how many times have I heard on the radio where you listen to a song and you listen to it for maybe 10, 15 seconds, and you go, nah, and you
next.
and you go next.
And maybe the best part of the song is later on, but like we have short attention spans, and there's so much out there now. With it really changed when home studios really changed the game. So having Logic, GarageBand, those things made it so you don't have to have money to produce music. Same with social media. You don't have to have money or connections to be like influential. Yeah. So which is amazing, but it's also like such a heavily saturated field.
Yeah. So we talked about how you realized that music was for you. You also said that you are an animal right activist. You love pups. So do I.
Yes.
I saw that at one point you fostered 13 dogs at a time.
Yep.
How did you get involved in wanting to be a voice for the voiceless in animals?
So, we started fostering dogs when I was in high school, and we just never really stopped. And I have always been obsessed with animals. Like, there's not a single animal that I do not want to have as a pet. Like, I find every single one of them adorable, 100%. But I think my sense of advocacy came about when I, like a few years into the fostering program, when I really learned about the realities of the animal industry, the puppy industry. And it's not something people really like think about, because you see cute dog, you love cute dog. There's nothing wrong with cute dog. Like, of course, like there's nothing wrong with the puppies. It's the people that there are, unfortunately, a lot of people who see animals as a business, and it's when it comes into that, that capitalist idea where it's like, I can make money off of this. So the puppy industry can be very poor like circumstances for the dogs, and that's why rescue is so important. And there are 100% are good breeders, but you really have to do your research, because there are 100% bad breeders as well.
Yeah, that is a lot of thing that people are not exposed to. I've always only rescued. I believe in
Yeah.
adopt, don't shop.
Yeah, me too.
That's the phrase that people say. All my dogs that I've ever owned have only been rescues. I love them. And you're right. A lot of people are not exposed to puppy mills.
Yeah,
and
you
things
just don't
of
know
that.
about them.
Yeah. So when I hear that, that's something I feel an affinity towards as well, because I love dogs. You're right. A lot of times you
Yeah.
go into places and you're like, oh, what a cute dog. But you don't realize that the person or the breeder is trying to sell them for
Money.
$4,000, and they
Yeah.
have worked their mother and father and
Yeah.
made some sort of concoction that isn't natural. And there's something about those mutts that you rescue. There's just something about them. The love that they give you, and I'm not saying dogs don't give love. That's not what I'm saying. But
they're appreciative because they know they know what's on the other side.
it's like, yeah, you're right. It's like they know within their brain that I could have been this, I could have been that, and they're just so thankful. The amount of love that they give is unmatched. I
It really
definitely
is, yeah.
recommend adopting for anybody who wants to look into dogs. Yeah, I
Yeah.
definitely. And there's so many credible programs that are trying to
There
help these
are.
dogs. And then it's sad because then you have to hope and pray that they don't go to a kill shelter,
Yeah.
because the truth is these places don't have the resources
Exactly.
or the space to accommodate all these dogs. So yeah, if you know of any programs that you love that you're a part
Yeah.
of, feel free to plug them in, because that's something
So
that I feel strongly about.
So something that is really, really cool about Minnesota is, and I'm a big Minnesota fan, so I'll probably say that many times, but one thing that's really cool about Minnesota is we actually have more people that want to adopt than dogs in shelters. So we actually, like, my program is called The Bond Between. It used to be called Secondhand Hounds. So same thing. But we actually we drive down south because there's a lot of stray dogs in the south. My dog is from Kentucky. And we rescue dogs from there, and we bring them up for people that want to adopt. And yeah, I just think it's fantastic. And a lot of people don't realize that you can get newborn puppies and you can get purebreds in rescue. You just have to look a little bit harder.
Yeah, you do. You have to do your research, right?
Yeah.
And you will find them.
Everywhere there's always amazing dogs, and obviously it can be harder. But another thing that a lot of people, especially coming out of the holidays, a lot of people are like, oh, puppy for a present. But then it's like, puppies are children. They are babies. They will cry. They're going to ruin your furniture. They're going to keep you up at night. They're going to they're going to destroy your things. Like, you have to be prepared that they're not just a cute little thing. Like, they are a living being. And like, some people just underestimate it.
Yeah, it's a massive responsibility, and a lot of people do underestimate that. You brought up a very good point. A lot of people want the puppy for the aesthetic, but not the work. And that's that, like me, for example. I've rescued all my dogs. I know I'm not a puppy guy. I'll rescue a dog that's 2, 3, 4, that's already potty trained, or maybe a little older. I'm fine with that. I'm fine rescuing a 7-year-old dog. I have no problem with that.
They're amazing. They're well trained. Like, they already love you. Like, you're chilling.
Yeah. But I know that. I know that from myself. And so it's a massive responsibility. Yeah. So I'm very appreciative, and I love that you shared that. I also want to talk about, you said you're a mental health advocate. That's something that's super big in today's society. A lot of times people just don't know how to communicate about their mental illness, or even just mental struggles, right? Just feeling depressed. They may not be a clinically depressed person, but they feel depression.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do with mental health? How do you advocate for folks with mental illness?
So I have always been very open. I was raised in a very communicative and openly like emotional family. I'm very, very lucky. I'm very, very privileged to have that. And so I've always been a very open, like just trying to break the stigma around mental health. And then when I decided to go to college, I went for songwriting at Belmont, and then I was like, I miss the North, and like I already know how to sing. I don't need to spend money how to sing, you know. But so I went and I studied psychology. So I got my psychology bachelor's and a social work minor from University of Michigan, and I really studied a lot about psychology. And if I am not a singer, I would love to be a therapist or like a counselor. I think that talking about mental health is incredibly important, and I think that a lot of people will be like, "Oh, well, they have it worse than me." And it's like everyone has the right to have problems. Like I thoroughly believe everyone should go to therapy. But it's hard because therapy is expensive, and therapy is like, it's hard to find a new therapist. And also some people are raised in or grew up in communities where it's not okay to talk about emotions. And I just think that with my platform that hopefully I will have, I mean, I'm already building my platform, but in the future, I'm going to continue using my platform to talk about these issues that I really care about. And I just think being someone like, be the change, see the change, I think that's what it's called. I think just doing those things is very important, breaking the stigma. And I've always struggled with anxiety, and I really struggled with depression after my dad got sick. And so just being very open about those things, I think is very important.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to talk a little bit more about that because so I can only speak from myself, right? And so I wouldn't necessarily say I would say I'm fortunate enough that I don't struggle with depression in the sense of, obviously I've had depressive situations in my life, but I guess I've always viewed them as situational as opposed to I'm just depressed. So how do you help someone who maybe they don't really have clinical depression, they're just in a depressive situation? How do you help navigate towards that? And I guess because you talked about that, you firmly believe that everyone should be in therapy, and that is something that could even just be worked out in therapy, right? Like, hey, I'm going through this depressive situation, let me just talk about it and get it off and to an unbiased person. So how do you balance that of this person, you don't have clinical depression, or maybe you do, it's just underlying? I gotta be honest, I'm not well versed in mental health. I think partially is what you said. I grew up in a family, all boys, and my dad would be the type that would be like, you're fine, guys are fine. How do you help navigate that type of life to someone who may not be exposed to it? I know I asked like 4 or 5 questions, so hopefully
you're good. Don't worry. I got ADHD, so I have them all right there. But I think that it is important to talk. Like, I think you talked about talking to an unbiased person. I think a big misconception of therapists is that there's someone who's going to give you all the answers, and like there's someone who's going to judge you and like tell you what you should do. But therapy is really just talking to someone who is unbiased, and they really don't say a lot. They kind of just, I mean, every therapist is different, but like a great therapist is going to help you work through things on your own. And if it's not a clinical depression, there's certain things, figuring out if it is a clinical depression or like just a regular, when I broke up with my first boyfriend, I was like, I'm so depressed. But like, then when I actually was depressed, I was like, no, you weren't. You were heartbroken and you were sad. But the biggest thing for me was the symptom that I realized was not finding joy in the things I normally find joy in. And so when I was really, really depressed, I didn't want to do music. I didn't want to sing. I didn't want to write. And that's not normal for me. And that was the biggest thing. And it really becomes a clinical thing when it impedes your life, when it changes how you're going about in your life. And that's not to say that when you are in a situational depression, like you were talking about, those can definitely be very serious, and they can lead to depression, because depression is a chemical imbalance in your brain. But like having situational depression and like not dealing with it, that could lead to something. So I think that spending time with people like that make you feel happy and that make you feel seen is very important. And then also just looking around, like what is like finding the causes. Like if it's something like a loss, yeah, you can't really do anything about that, but you can, talk to people that also experience that loss or other losses, and finding commonalities, and talking through things, and just being around people that you love. And there's like going outside, reading a book, like there's always those little things that everyone always recommends, like eating healthy, working out. Like they don't always work, but sometimes they genuinely can work. Just kind of getting out of funk. But if it's something like you feel depressed because, you're like, oh, I've been drinking every night this week. And it's like, there are certain things that you can like assess and like be honest with yourself and look at your life and kind of see like what could be negatively impacting me. And it's different for everyone. And sometimes it's, as simple as going on walks every day. And sometimes it's more complicated, where maybe you need to get a medication, or you need to see therapy, or there's different things, and everyone's different. And I think that's what's really scary about mental health, is it's not like if you have the flu, you get medication. There's so many things, and it's complicated.
Yeah. It's hard to just come up with a clear plan for anybody. And that's why I like to ask questions, and that's why I like to hear your perspective, because I don't want to appear ignorant. And so that's why I love talking to advocates like yourself, because I don't 100% know, and I don't think we'll ever 100% know.
Well, no, we're not going to 100% know. And I think the most important thing is being kind to yourself, and being forgiving to yourself, and being honest and seeking help if you need it.
Yeah. Beautifully said. I want to transition into your father's battle with ALS.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk about the impact that has had on you?
Yeah, so my dad was diagnosed with ALS in October 2021. We were given a 2 to 5 year life expectancy, and he died a year later. So we had a very, very aggressive form of ALS. And it's a disease that people don't really know a lot about. I didn't before my dad was diagnosed. Most people just know about Stephen Hawking, who lived like 20 plus years, which is incredibly rare, but fantastic. I mean, like amazing. But yeah, it's a really, really hard disease. I don't know all of like technical things, but like your nervous system kind of attacks itself and breaks down. So he lost control of his body, and he was a marathon runner. He was a very, very proud man. He was a proud Mexican man who didn't, I mean, he was very, like I said, he would always tell me he loved me. He was open with his emotions, but he was still more closed off. Like, I mean, I didn't see him cry until like his battle and everything. So it was very, very hard for him, and his mental health definitely took a decline as well. But, my mom and I were his caretakers. Besides when I went to school, because I was in the middle of college while I was doing this. So during the summer, I was taking care of my dad. And it's another double-edged sword, because I got to have that time where I made sure there was nothing that went unsaid. And I got to say goodbye. And we got to make sure to say everything we needed to. But also, when you're having a terminal disease, like seeing someone you love in that kind of pain is so hard. So it's that double-edged sword, and it definitely did make an impact on my mental health and my mom's mental health. Not only just seeing someone that we love so much in pain, but when you are a caretaker, it drastically changes your life. Your time management, like everything, it just changes everything. So that's the biggest thing. I mean, one of the biggest things was it definitely hurt my mental health. But it also really inspired me to not waste any time. And part of the reason that I applied for The Voice was because, well, one, I know they love a sob story, which, if we're being completely honest, like, they love a sob story, and like, it's just another factor, whatever. But also, I wanted to be an advocate for ALS, and I have been. I've had so many people reach out to me who have also had loved ones with ALS, and they said it was so nice to hear about me, like, bringing it into the forefront, because it's not very well known. And I also, the Minnesota ALS Association has reached out to me, and I'm going to be working with them in the future, which is fantastic. But also, it inspired me to do it, because I've been talking about it for years. And my dad, one of the hardest things for him was knowing that he wouldn't get to see me achieve my dreams of becoming famous, becoming a successful musician, like, all those things. The hardest thing for him was to, like, he couldn't, the hardest thing was, I was still performing while he was sick, but he couldn't even listen to me sing. Like, he was not emotionally able to listen to it, because it was so hard for him. And that was hard for me. So when I would be singing, like, I would be thinking of him, and he was at every single one of my shows, like, and he had, like, tinnitus, so it was, like, really hard for him. He never went to any concerts except for my own. So it was incredibly difficult. But also, when you deal with something that hard, even if you lose a grandparent to natural causes, it puts that in perspective, because we're only getting older. I'm turning 25 this year, and that's kind of crazy. So, it kind of pushes you. It pushes you to, get off your ass and, like, do things.
Damn it, Frankie. In almost over 100 episodes, I don't think I've ever teared up. And this is the first one that you got me. You got me. There's a first time for everything. And, I got to collect myself, because I interviewed someone with ALS about a year ago, actually, at this point.
Oh.
And it was really challenging to listen to just the accommodations the family had to make. And she's such a brave woman, and it was hard, because she was, like, talking about how there was this level of acceptance of knowing what was going to happen, but knowing that there's nothing that could be done. And I just hear you talk about your father, and just, like, what choked me up was when you said he didn't want, or he was afraid of not being able to see you and your version of success, whatever that may be. And so, wow, like, I'm really sorry that you had to go through that. And you're right. Like, I don't think it's a disease that many people know of, aside from, 10 years ago when people were throwing ice buckets on their head.
I forgot about that, honestly.
Right. Unlocked a core memory for you. But yeah, aside from that, like, I don't think it's one that too many people are aware of, because it's rare. But when it happens, it's debilitating towards the family and even that individual, because it's a slow decline. And I'm glad that you had the platform, like The Voice, to share your story. And now you have these doors opening up for you. And although it may not be exactly the doors that you wanted to open for you, I'm moved and I'm inspired by you, because you took a tragedy and now you're trying to make it a positive enforcement to others. So let's talk about The Voice now, which, you're right, they love a sob story, as do I.
You really do.
You got me. Thank you a lot, Frankie. You were able to get all 4 coaches to turn their chairs. What was going through your mind when you saw all those chairs spin around?
So, I blacked out. And it's something that you'll hear very common with blind auditions. A lot of us blacked out. So the audition process, we had a lot of time to prepare for it and to rehearse, because you have to do wardrobe, and you have to do interviews, and you have to do, all the things. So we had a lot of time to prepare. And then when the day came, I was first up. I was the first one of the day, and I did not expect it. So I was like, oh, okay, didn't expect this to happen. So I went in with a plan, like, because like I said, I have anxiety, and so like I knew that if I didn't have a plan, I would freeze.
Yeah.
My plan was to just get one chair, like just make sure I get one kind of deal.
Okay.
But
so you were shooting for one.
Shooting for one. That's literally, if you talk to anyone in the show, everyone was like, I'm just hoping for one.
Yeah, because then you're on the show. Yeah.
Yeah, like there was actually, I think this season, our season was like the most 4 chair turns. We had an incredibly talented season, and even like the people in like production, I mean, I don't know, they might have been talking out of their ass, but they were like, you guys are you like one of the best seasons we've ever had, and like it's so competitive this year. And even like the people at the hotel were like, you guys are the best season we've ever had, like you guys are so cool and so fun. And like, so I'll just take that. But we yeah, so going on it was terrifying. I have sang the song Magic Man a million times, and like another common thing you'll hear is that like I personally hate my performance.
You do?
Yeah, because I know what it's supposed to sound like. I know what it sounds like when I'm not having a panic attack. Like basically you go up there and you have to like act like, my song was kind of like like it was like a slower one. Although they actually did speed it up from the original, which I was not planning. But it's a slower song, so I have to like act all cool and stuff, right? But my heart's like going crazy. So just like anxiety, just like chilling kind of deal, taking deep breaths. But I sing my song, and obviously I'm proud of my performance. I couldn't have asked for more. Like obviously I had the 4 chairs, and I had people, I mean, I have more than that. So I'm very proud of it. But something that is very common, like I talked to one of my really good friends, who Dreon, he also got a 4 chair turn. But I was like, am I crazy to like have like to be a little upset about my performance? He's like, no, don't worry about it, we're all like that, because we're all perfectionists and we're all divas, and we all know what it sounds like at like its best performance.
Mm-hmm.
But I did not expect 4 chairs. I was planning on going with Gwen Stefani from the beginning, because she's the closest to rock out of the 4 judges. So Michael Bublé, Reba McEntire, Snoop Dogg, and Gwen Stefani. She is the closest to rock. And I also felt like that was the most genuine to myself, because I actually know her music the most. Like I know Snoop Dogg's music, but
Yeah.
I mean, I won't say I have regrets, but like I obviously like want, like everyone wants to work with Snoop Dogg. We get it. Like I know, me too. But I know I used to sing No Doubt all the time. I perform No Doubt, and I love her music. I love Spiderwebs. I love Sunday Morning. I love, Just a Girl. Like it's music that I grew up singing. And in addition, Gwen Stefani is a woman in rock, and that is rare. There's only a couple of us that like girl rockers that auditioned, and I was the only one who made it on. So it's rare for The Voice to have female rockers. But
yeah, you're right. You're right about that. I feel
Yeah.
like in past years, everyone who doesn't get a chair turn, it's a female rocker.
Yeah, because they're like, oh, we like it, but genuinely, I think the show has a hard time marketing us. Because I mean, you look at like a country singer, a girl country singer. You know exactly what to do for marketing. Like you know how to dress her, you know what songs to give her, blah blah blah. But it's harder with female rockers, because mostly the stuff that I sing male songs. But
Right.
I sing all female songs on the show, which is so strange. That never happens for me, at least. So I think the marketing is very different. And usually when it's a female rocker, they're like Stevie Nicks. That's like they're like either Stevie Nicks, or they'll go like completely like the other way, and I don't know. Just
Or
like
Joan Jett.
Joan
Yeah.
Jett. It's Joan Jett or Stevie
Yeah.
Nicks basically, and I'm kind of in the middle. I have
Yeah.
like a bunch of different influences. Because I'm Led Zeppelin is my favorite band, so I'm a big blues rocker. I love blues rock, and I like southern rock, and I love it all. But so it's hard going in there kind of, well, you're at an advantage because you don't have as much competition in your genre, but at a disadvantage because um, there's not as much of an established like
Path for
yes.
you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I was picking up what you were putting down.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. So yeah, I think the reason that I went with Gwen, like obviously, so if you didn't watch, I got Reba hit me, was my first chair turn, completely blacked out after that. And then when they were fighting for me, Michael Bublé rapped for me. That was fantastic. That was crazy. Did not expect that. He was very good. I will not say it probably wasn't freestyle, but that doesn't matter because I'm pretty sure he wrote it and he performed it fantastically. But so he rapped for me. Snoop Dogg was asking me about. He was like, "Oh, Minnetonka. Oh, that's where Prince is from." Blah blah blah. And Snoop, they cut a lot of what I talked about with Snoop, but we talked a lot about me performing when I was a kid and Prince and Minnetonka. And Reba came up on stage and gave me the trophy from last year, and I held the trophy, and like the cannons went off, and she's like, "This is what it feels like to win The Voice." So I'll always have that. And then what Gwen did is what she said that really solidified it for me. In addition to like kind of like my plan, and like someone with ADHD and anxiety, like it's kind of hard to deviate from the plan when you're like stressed. But my plan was solidified when she said that she was hesitant because she's protective of rock, and she's protective of female rockers, and I am too. And I appreciated that she was waiting and she wanted to make sure that it was like better than just good, and that I would represent the genre well. So I went with her because I really felt like she understood that with what I was putting out there.
Yeah. I'm sure at some point you can edit out Reba's interaction with you of giving you the trophy and then saying you won The Voice, and then you can just have the little
100%.
Yeah, you can have a TikTok.
Like before the season had even aired, they sneak peeked that interaction, and I posted that, and people were like, "Oh my god, you won The Voice," and I'm like, "No, I didn't. That's from the audition," but But of course, I had to be like, "Oh, it hasn't ended yet. You don't know. Maybe I did."
Yeah, tune in. Yeah, you had to play the part, right? You had to play the part.
But it was a crazy day. Regardless of being first, it was still a very long process, and even though I was first, the day was long. Yeah. Like it was a long day, and it was so it was just a whole thing, and it was stressful, but it was crazy. It was an amazing experience. Another one of those like euphoric memories I'll never forget, like getting the 4 chairs. It's very validating.
Yeah. No, it is, and it makes you feel like you're doing what you're meant to do. Right? Mm-hmm. And to be able to have 4 titans in the industry, all from relatively different genres. I know they've dipped into different ones, but for the most part, they're all different genres, I think, on a baseline level. You had that validation, and not saying that you needed it, but you have it now.
Yeah.
And, that's a really cool moment. And then you referenced Rion. I interviewed him. What a great guy. He is there's not too many people in the world like him, and the world needs more people like him.
Oh, yeah. Like, Gianna was one of my closest friends, but I really did make so many friends on the show. We, and you can ask anyone on the show, the best part was the friendships. And any season, you can ask anyone on any season, the best part is spending time with the people and the friendships. I, like, my battle partner, Gabby, is still my best friend, and she's coming to visit me in Minnesota, like, in a week, and I'm super excited. She's my best friend. I love her. Like, we were best friends before we were paired. Like, it's amazing. I've already visited Christina Eagle. We always, like, so many amazing friends. And, even like the winner of the season, Sofronio, I wasn't like super, super close with him, but I will consider him my friend, and he's an amazing person, and I'm so excited for him. Like there was like no one in the show that didn't deserve it. Yeah. So Yeah.
Well, because according to every single person at the hotel and the producers, you were the most
We're the best
talented.
season. No, literally, I actually have like the contact information for a lot of like the people at the hotel because
Yeah.
me and Gabby were hanging out like in our little group, me, Gabby, and Gian and everything. We were hanging out so much at the hotel. We became like besties with like a lot of like the servers and bartenders and like bellhops and all that kind of stuff. And like they were like, normally the people aren't like this, like they're nice, but they're not like interested in my day, but we became like actual really good friends with them.
Oh,
uh,
that's so cool.
and it was a good time because like if you haven't done something like musical theater or like choir or something, when you're in like an arts like group and you're doing rehearsals and you're together every single day, it is partially bonding, but also like everyone has like, it doesn't matter where you come from, what your personality is. We're all so passionate about music and we're all divas. Let me tell you, there was not a single one who wasn't a diva because, of course, we auditioned for The Voice. We're not going to be like not divas. But so getting to know people from different parts of the country and completely different personalities, different musical backgrounds. My musical background was completely different from like so many other people there. But it's just really, really cool to like, really expand not only your musical taste, but like who you are as a person.
Yeah.
Like we really grew a lot, all of us.
Yeah. Yeah. You were able to get insights, get tips, and like you said, you can gather inspiration from different people. And that is something I notice about that show, right? Like, yes, it's a competition show, but I've interviewed people that say it didn't even feel like a competition just because of how close the
Yeah.
friendships and the relationships that were established.
The only time
were.
it would feel like a competition is on elimination days. And it wasn't so much like I'm gonna beat you. It's like we're gonna be losing some of our friends tonight, and it's sad.
Yeah.
Those days, like the nights of the energy on at the hotel on elimination days was so strange because it was partially celebration and it was partially saying goodbye, and it was overall just a lot of love. Like it really was.
Some behind the scenes stuff. Did you all have to pack your bags like beforehand?
Like we were like suggested to do that.
Yeah.
I think so. I'm really, really close with Adam Bohannon, who made it to the final lives as well, and he is a Minnesota local, and him and I do a lot together. And he was so convinced every single time that he was going home that he would be fully packed the night before, and of course he like didn't go home until the literal finals. But so I think most people would just pack because if you do get sent home, you want to spend all the time you can with the people. Yeah, it's not like they're like shipping you out like the second you go, but it's like you just want to have that time to spend with the people because you've been spending every single second of every single day for however long of of your time, and you want to say goodbye. I mean, when I got cut, I extended my stay and I stayed in Gabby's room for a while. Like I was like I don't want to leave.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. So you were eliminated, technically, but then you were stolen by Reba.
Yeah.
And then you got to work with Reba now, but then you had a performance that wasn't aired.
Yeah.
And we talked a little bit about that. This is no political answer.
I don't have an agenda here.
No, I want the authentic truth from Frankie. Were you bummed about that? Did you feel like some of your TV moment was robbed?
Yeah, I was. I mean, I still feel salty about it, but I mean, I'm not like angry at anyone specifically because it happens. Like people get montaged. I think the thing that was really upsetting is because it's one thing to get montaged, and then it's another thing they didn't even say our names. Like me and Kendall, the other guy who got completely cut out, like not only did like getting montage is one thing, like you show a little clip of us singing, that's fine, but like nothing, not our songs, not our names, everything was completely cut out. So that was like definitely upsetting. Also, the performance that I left on, hands down my best performance on the show. Like I got a standing ovation, like it was great. Like I I had no notes. And also, you never got to see me working with Reba. Since I was a steal, it was also like a little bit of like a surprise, because normally when someone is stolen, you usually get to see them with their new coach.
Yeah.
So I was working with Reba and also Jennifer Hudson. And they didn't get to show any of that. But I am glad that they got to show KDO, the girl who won our knockout. She's a sweetheart. She's so talented. So I love her, and like there's no bad blood between us in any way. And she was texting. She was like, "I'm so sorry, guys. Like I'm so sorry you guys got cut off." Like the night that it happened, she was texting me and Kendall like that. She was like, "I'm so sorry that happened," and I was like, "Hey, at least they showed some of yours, because she got like montage too." But yeah, it was definitely upsetting, because Kendall and I both did a great job, and I think, you know, you're never gonna know what the coaches were thinking. Reba, like I know some people are like, oh, she was singing a Reba song, and I don't think that's what it was. I think Katie did a fantastic job, and I think that like, yeah, she was singing a Reba song, but like she got people dancing, like she got Snoop dancing, like it was, you know, like it was a great performance.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I learned the most about myself is, like, I was told multiple times that they didn't have any notes for me vocally, which is like, I guess, a flex on it itself. But like I don't have any vocal notes, but it's more like my performance, I guess. And I think it was hard because I sang "You and I" by Lady Gaga, which isn't a very like emotional song. Like I was sassy, and I was like singing, I was hitting all the notes. But like comparatively, my best friend Gabby sang a very emotional song, and like that is what and the voice, they'll tell you they care more about the emotion, like in everything. They care about like the emotion and the performance, and I totally understand that. So I think what I've learned the most is, for me, the songs that are going to be the most impactful as a performance are the ones that I feel emotionally connected to.
Yeah. Well, it's a TV show at the end of the day. It is a produced TV show, and you're right. Like, I think sometimes people forget that element. You know, it's very interesting because I've interviewed many people from past seasons, and for the most part, I would say 90% of it has been positive, has been the experience that you're saying. And then, you know, like the world is very nuanced, and there's different opinions and perspectives. And so I listen to some, and there's some where they say things like, oh, you know, I was told I could only do this, and I was told I can only do that. And I've had some people who I've interviewed, and then they have said to me, wait until I'm done with my bubble over a year or two of
the year contract.
And then they said, we can have a tell-all, and I'll let you know everything how I feel. And I'm like, whoa, like, so you feel some type of way. Yeah, which, right. And so the reason why I brought that up was not to bring any bitter feelings. It was because it's hard enough to get on TV. Like, that is a freaking cool accomplishment to get on TV.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people don't realize the process it even takes to get there, because they say the blind audition, right? But you had to audition for the blind audition.
Yeah.
There was a long process before it was just, hey, you're on TV. It wasn't like they plucked you from the street and said, we want you, get on this stage and you're going to sing. You had to prove that you could sing. You had to go ahead and go through all the appropriate channels to get yourself even to that point, to even get a chair turned. So I can understand that there's probably some salty feelings, because I think that that's just normal. And despite the fact that you weren't able to go ahead and showcase that little scene between you and Reba of you being stolen and Jennifer Hudson, I think the sky's the limit for you, and you're only going to go up. And, you know, that may have been a launching pad for your success, but you're only going to go up from here. And I know that probably wasn't what you wanted to see, but I think you have many others who are backing you, and including myself, that are going to see you just thrive beyond that show. So despite the fact that was how it ended, it wasn't your music career that ended. It was just your time in
Oh,
that show.
it was 100% a launching point for sure. And I'm not, like, yeah, it was a little salty at the moment, like, the way that it was edited all together. But I'm not upset at anyone in production or, like, anyone, producers, Reba. I'm not mad at anyone there. Not mad, like, at the way that it went down. Like,
Right.
I think that's the name of the game. And a lot of us kind of went in, like, not, like, necessarily wanting to win, but just the connections, the exposure, it's all great. And I think the biggest thing that I've seen is it is like I was talking about how like it's hard in the music industry, and it is doubly hard when you're a woman, and it is triply hard when you are a young woman. Um, because the music industry, especially since I'm a rock singer and I do a lot of rock music, that is just filled by old white men. Like no hate, but like the industry, booking agents, sound guys, it's a lot of older guys. And many times I've like tried to professionally like go up to someone, shake their hand, like introduce myself, and all they hear is, I'm a girl who sings. And it's like very frequently I'm brushed under the table. I'm, just like, oh, it's just another girl who sings, like every girl sings, whatever. But it's like having this on my resume is validating. And I think that it's the most important thing is that I'm not going to be brushed away as much as it is. And it sucks that I kind of have to have this on my resume, because the guys in my band will go up to those same guys and they'll get a full professional conversation just because they're men. But it's changing, obviously, but especially in the rock industry. The classic rock industry is full of older men, and it oftentimes, not always, but oftentimes there is it's you don't really see a young girl in the rock industry and think she's gonna be like serious about rock or like seriously like committed to that kind of thing. So having this on my resume, having that I sang a heart song for my audition is kind of like proof that like I'm not just another girl who's just like on a whim singing like out of choir. Like I don't just like strum on my guitar, which no hate to women who do, no hate to any singer-songwriter, but like girls will often have to prove themselves a lot more, and it can be very frustrating.
And right, I can't speak in that perspective, obviously, just not being a female, but I can only imagine for you, because not only are you a female singing rock, you're a Mexican American.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a lot there that I can see could be potential roadblocks. But on the flip side, right, Frankie, you could be the very first.
But I could, that's the thing.
So, you know what, my friend? Fuck it. Like, you know what
Exactly.
I mean? Like, throw caution to the wind and just go ahead and do what you can to be that very first Mexican American female rock star. And you're gonna make your way there. I believe it. And I see that and I feel it just even talking to you, how motivated you are, how dedicated you are to causes, the activism that you do, the advocacy that you do, and even just your own work. Sky's the limit for you, my friend. So just keep plugging away. Small victories, and this is a huge victory, and you're just going to build from here. So I can't wait to see the rest of your journey and what you do beyond this show, for sure.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Of course. Midnight Rambler.
Yes.
That's the group, you're a lead singer. Talk to me about the group.
Yeah, so it is a rock cover band. I've been doing rock cover bands my entire life, since I was 8 years old. And we perform around the Twin Cities, doing a lot of different music. We're narrowing it down. We do like a third country, a third rock, a third pop kind of deal. And when I say pop, we do like throwback pop, like that kind of stuff. But we have been performing for about 2 years now, but I've been performing with different members of the band since I was like 14, 13. And we all have different genre like preferences, I guess. Like our bass player is all about metal. our guitarist is metal and country, and like one of our guitarists is like a big indie guy, and like obviously I'm a blues rock girl, so we have a lot of inspirations, and it's a fun time. The hardest thing for me is that for the guys it's kind of a hobby, and for me it's like my profession. So I have we're continuing to work together. We do a lot of really cool shows. We perform in Minneapolis. We do a lot of Cowboy Jacks. We perform around the Lake Minnetonka at different bars in the lake. And it's really, really great. And we're hopefully going to be doing some more bigger shows now because of what I have with the traction that I have from the voice. But I'm also doing other bands. I just joined a wedding band in the Twin Cities area called Blue Water Kings, and I'm working on doing performing some original music. I've got a gig at the Turf Club, which in St. Paul, which is owned by the same people as First Avenue. If you've heard of First Ave, it's like a really big venue here, and just kind of like jumping headfirst into like all the different things. And now I'm also the official national anthem singer for the women's Minnesota hockey team. So super excited for that. So I'm collecting all these different gigs and just kind of doing everything I can.
That's awesome. Wow. And I'm glad that you were able to have that opportunity and that you were reached out to be the official national anthem singer. Because I saw that you had one for the National Football League
for the
with
Vikings,
the Vikings versus the Colts. Yeah. How was that experience like?
Oh, it was amazing because I've only been to like one Vikings game in my life. And I'm not a huge football girl, but I'm a huge Minnesota girl. So like I love the Vikings. So I'm a big Vikings fan. But it was super, super cool. Like biggest arena that I've performed in. And I had so much great feedback from it. People that were at the game and people I'd never met before, like following me from it. And also like one of my friends, Cameron from The Voice, they also performed at on the Vikings, and it was a fantastic like community. Hopefully they'll have me back sometime. But it's really cool because I think the national anthem is something that is very personal. Like the way that people do it is very different. Since I'm more of a blues rock, like I'm less of an R&B. I do love R&B, but I am someone who I do get annoyed when people do too many runs or they do too much. Like that does bother me. On just a personal note, it's just like my personal preference. I like a little bit of it. Like I love a run. Like I appreciate a run. Don't get me wrong, but I think the national anthem sometimes people either love it or hate it. So I think it's nice for me to. I've been singing it in my garage since I learned it in 5th grade, but I'd never actually performed it. The Vikings was the first time I'd ever performed it. And I had, showed my little spin on it where I did a lot of, I did some more bluesier riffs. Instead of R&B, I do more bluesy riffs. And I think that kind of shows who I am more so. And you don't always see that from like vocalists. When like someone who's like on The Voice singing the national anthem, sometimes they'll really just like go all out and show off their voice. I don't know, it's just not my style, but I mean, I think I still showed off my voice, but still, keeping true to the regular melody.
You're right. It is a song in which almost everyone knows, and there's thousands of variations, and everyone does try to put their own spin on the song. And so it sounds like you were able to do so while staying true to yourself, which is ultimately what you want as an artist, right? It's what you want. You want to be able to put your own spin, but also give the respect to the song or the artist or whoever wrote it, etc. Yeah. All right, you want to wrap up with some fun burning questions then?
Go for it, yeah.
All right, let's do it. You're about to headline a concert with no rehearsal. What's the last song that you would choose and why?
The last song. In this scenario, does my band know how to play the song? Or is it just me?
It's just you.
Just me?
Just you.
Oh, Okay. This is my problem though. I'm not good at accompanying myself. But honestly, I'd probably just like a cappella sing like Who's Loving You, Jackson 5, or like a natural woman, Aretha Franklin, or like if I have enough time, I'd just like a cappella Stairway to Heaven. No, I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I can't do that. But yeah, I would probably I guess I'd say probably Aretha Franklin.
No rehearsal. You know every word.
Oh yeah, easy.
All right.
That's the thing is I know how to sing all the songs. Just like what song's gonna sound good with no accompaniment.
Yeah, that's right. See, I'm not a singer, so my brain goes to like happy birthday, right? Like you ever hear those questions on TikTok or Instagram or whatever, and people will say, for $1 million, you sing a song, you can't get any words wrong. What are you singing? And everyone goes ahead and they put like actual songs, and I'm like, happy birthday. I don't
That's
know,
true.
Twinkle, twinkle, little star. That's still a song.
It still counts. No, I think because I've been in cover bands for like 16 years now, I have like hundreds of songs memorized. Like my brain has so much like lyrics stored in my brain.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Side note, this is not a burning question. How are you able to memorize all those things? Because I have a hard time remembering what I had for lunch yesterday.
Oh,
and
same.
You're not the so is it just the way your brain is operative that you can go ahead and you're like, I can remember songs?
So like I don't know if this is all musicians, but for me, and this is definitely like an ADHD thing. I have an incredibly terrible short-term memory. Like, if you asked me what I was talking about 5 minutes ago, I probably wouldn't know. But I can remember things from when I was, like, 3 years old. I have a very, very good long-term memory and a very poor short-term memory. So I think my lyrics just get stored into my long-term. And also, it's something that I practice. Like I said, I've been in cover bands performing, 20 songs a month, like, since I was 8 years old. So you kind of, like, you get a system down to it. And if I like listen to a song on repeat for a day, I'll probably have it down by the end of the day. And they just kind of stay in my head. Like I was listening to a song the other day that I haven't heard in like 10 years, but I still like it's muscle memory.
No way. Wow.
Yeah.
That's impressive. That's impressive. Wow. I'm amazed.
But I can't do math. I can't do math at all.
You're like, don't hit me with one of those multiple choice times things. Did you ever have to do that in school, the fast math where you had to do all the multiplication in like a minute?
Terrible. I did that. I stopped at 6. I could never get my 7 timetables.
Talk about anxiety, right? Like I read something one time that said, I know when my anxiety started. It was when the teacher was making everyone read out loud and then knowing it was my turn, and then I would read ahead, so that way I made sure I got no words wrong, etc. Yeah.
And then you don't actually know what you're saying. Like you didn't retain any of it.
Not You're 1,000% correct. You do not retain any of it. You're on autopilot at that point. Yeah. 100%.
And that's another thing that I honestly advocate when it comes to, it's like somewhat related to mental health, but like standardized testing. The person who invented standardized testing hated it. Like I've been like an advocate against standardized testing my whole life because it's so hard. Like when I like having to do like timed things is so hard for me. I get stressed out, I get anxiety, and then like I can't function like that. Like I hate people that test well. Yeah. Like some of my best friends are good testers, and I'm like, I love you, but I hate you for that because that's not fair.
Yeah, it's kind of insane. So I live in Massachusetts, and so my background is actually in early childhood education. And I remember when I first started, before I was doing this, I would strongly be against our standardized testing because in Massachusetts, in order to graduate high school, you can have a 4.0 GPA, but if you fail the standardized testing as a freshman or sophomore, you can't graduate.
Yeah.
And I was heavily against that. And I remember I was 21, 22 at the time, and I was like saying that to a bunch of older folks who this is the way it is by the books. I was called crazy, and I was even rebuked and reprimanded for having this mentality. You want to know what happened this past election year? And I'm not talking the presidential. I'm talking about in Massachusetts.
Specifics. Yeah.
Yeah. In Massachusetts, they nixed standardized testing. It's no longer a thing.
Nice.
And I go, how is it that I said this 10 years ago and I was crazy? And now here we are 10 years later. You know what? It's okay. It's okay. I'm glad
I get it.
happened.
I know what you mean, because sometimes the new liberal ideas are crazy until they're not. But the thing is also like standardized testing is all about money. Like, it's for funding, which I know is important, but if you take it out, then people can focus on what's important with education.
Yeah.
And I took a lot of sociology of education classes while I was getting my social work degree. So like I also have not as much as you for sure, but like a baseline understanding of kind of like the problems, the systemic issues in our education system. And there's a lot. And capitalism is business shouldn't be in the schools, but it is. And it's something we have to work around and figure out. And I think that hopefully, I think it'll only get better from here, because we are, and I do think advocating for mental health is going to seep into all the different issues. And I think once people are more compassionate and empathetic and have the ability to worry about those things, I think it will just kind of like seep into like every little aspect of our lives.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that we're able to go on that little run over. This is why I love the podcast, and you know what you understood the assignment, because I said to you, we're just gonna have a conversation and we'll see where it goes, and you are hitting. I'm a big talker. Yeah, I love that. I love that. Live performance or studio recording?
Live performance every day. I said that obviously The Voice was a fantastic experience, but it was so weird to me. Like, I perform like in a cover band, I perform in dive bars, and the energy like comes from the audience. I want to be right up next to my audience. Like, that is the best part, is when you can interact with the audience. 100% live performance.
Nice. Morning person or night owl?
Night. I hate the morning so much. Oh my god, I hate the morning. I am working. I actually went to Italy for Christmas because my brother lives there. And so I am taking advantage of the jet lag and like forcing myself to get up early in the morning. Because like I am accustomed to 12 hours of sleep right now. Like before I went to Italy, it was like midnight to noon was my sleep schedule.
I appreciate you getting up early for the podcast on your end.
Oh, of course. No, I'm working on it. It's okay. I'm about a week into my new schedule.
Okay. I'm glad I was able to be a contributor to the helping of this.
No, it's good. It's good.
Good. All right. Plan everything or go with the flow? I feel like I know the answer.
I don't know the answer, actually. I'm more of a go with the flow, I'd say.
Really? Okay.
But I do plan things. Like, my mom's a huge planner.
Yeah.
So like I usually plan things for like other people's convenience. Like, because I don't want people to get mad at me, like if they don't know what's going on. But now that I've been in The Voice and I have like more things on my plate, I have to be more organized. Like when I was in high school, I was super, super organized because I had so much going on. But then when you get in college, and then when COVID hit, and it's like, and when The Voice was my job, and so I was like, it's hard when like that's when you have such an unscheduled schedule. But now that I have more things, like I'm planning things. But I definitely go with the flow. Like I don't mind taking things day by day.
Okay. See, I read that wrong then. Because I thought because from my experience, everyone who's ever said like, oh, I have ADHD or anxiety, they've always said, no, I like a strict. They don't want to go but you know what? Like we said, the world is nuanced. Yeah, everyone has so
my anxiety, honestly, if I have like things that I like, I can get stressed out if like things are like so like I'll get stressed out if it's like I need to do this by then. But at the same time, like my ADHD kind of like and my anxiety kind of go against each other, because my anxiety is like chill out, but my ADHD is like we have to have enough time to do all these things. So It is nuanced, like you said.
Yeah. Online shopping or in-store browsing?
In-store browsing. I hate online shopping. Like
Me
I don't
too.
do it at all. Like
No, I hate
I
it.
like I think most, at least girls, my friends at least, do a lot of online clothes shopping. And I don't know how, because nothing ever fits. And I will never return things. Like know myself, I'm lazy and I will not return something.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't online shop, like, really.
No, I don't either. And it's like a thing now where people will online shop and they'll buy like 6 or 7 things.
Yeah, and then return it.
Try it all and then return 5 or 6 of them, however many you get. You return the vast majority of it. And to me, I'm like, that just seems like so much work.
It's so much work. I'm lazy when it comes to that. Like, I don't want to do that.
Neither do I. I'm fine going to the store, taking my time, trying it on, seeing if I like it, seeing if I will legitimately wear it, and then being like, all right, I'm going to buy it, or no, I'm going to put it back and then leave it. I don't want to go through that. Yeah.
Yeah. Another thing that I'm really passionate about is the environment. And online shopping, if you are ordering and then sending back 6 items, that's so much airfare. That's like unnecessary amount of like shipping. And like, that's like, obviously that's not the biggest contributor to the like global warming, but like airplanes are a big thing. Like, it's something that we can control. Like, it's obviously a lot of it comes down to the corporations and big companies and factories. But one of the things that as like individuals we can do to help is like cutting down on the amount of airfare that we use,
I would love to have a 20-minute episode with you to just hear you talk about like big corporations and.
Oh yeah. I mean, I am a social worker. I did get into social work, so.
I love it. Favorite holiday?
I do love a lot of holidays. I will go. I don't know. I feel like it's gotta be Christmas or Halloween because I do Christmas 10 years ago because there's no snow anymore. Like, at least where there's supposed to be snow. I know that there's like snow in Texas right now, but like in Minnesota there's no snow. And which makes me incredibly depressed, and like not actually clinically depressed, but make me very, very sad. And it gives me a lot of climate anxiety. But like Christmas 10 years ago, amazing. Like the snow, sledding, like ice skating, like there's ice castles, like so amazing. I love the trees. Winter break, are you kidding me? Like in elementary school, so good.
Oh, it was
like ideal. Like early 2000s winter break, like last day of school before winter break, they'll never know.
No, but these kids will never know. Yeah.
They'll never know. But also Halloween though, when I was a kid, it snowed on Halloween. That was like the norm in Minnesota. But in Halloween, my family has always thrown a huge Halloween party every year. So I just really like it. The entire month of October, our house is super decorated. And then we have like the big Halloween party, costume party. So I just really like dressing. I've always gone really, really hard, for Halloween. Like, I've only ever worn a basic costume like once in my life. Like, some of my favorite costumes, I went as a tooth when I was 7. Cool. My mom made this big, like, plush, like, suit, and I had like a giant toothbrush. Oh, that's awesome. One time I went as the TiVo box because I was really into I thought the TiVo guy was really cute, so I made a TiVo box and like I got like the antenna and the shoes. Yeah. And like I went as a ventriloquist dummy. And like,
so it's like out of the box.
Like, I love it. I love going out of the box is a big deal for me. Years ago I went as Frankenstein because like, it's my name. And then this year we had like a theme. It was like music icons, their songs, their music videos, their lyrics. And I went as Killer Queen. So I got like my cute little corset outfit. I had my crown, and then I had the lyrics, the song Killer Queen by Queen. I was like gunpowder, cigarettes, caviar, like all the different things. So I bought I never purchased cigarettes in my entire life. I literally went to the store and I bought a pack of cigarettes. And I didn't smoke any of them, but I was like, I bought a pack of cigarettes for my costume, and I had like little fake popping boba for my caviar, and then like I had like fake like gunpowder, and then I had like gelatin, and I had like all the things, and I had like fake gun and like knives and stuff, and I was like Killer Queen.
Oh, that's so cool. That's really cool.
It was a good time.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna take out a random question from the chat pack.
Cool, love it.
And I'm with you. I want to reflect on that real quick. I feel like Halloween for me has slowly creeped up as my favorite one as well. It used to be Christmas. 10 to 15 years ago, I would say Christmas. You're right.
Do you have a favorite past Halloween costume?
So what's funny is I grew up not celebrating Halloween. My mom was super big in that, not celebrating it.
Yeah, I know that can be a thing.
Yeah, it wasn't until I got into like, I want to say 14, 15, where I got a little bit older and all my friends were doing it. So then I would go to Halloween parties, but my mom wouldn't let me dress up. But as I've gotten older, I do dress up. I've dressed up as, not as cool as you, but I've done a zombie.
Yeah.
I guess the coolest one for me would have been this past Halloween. I dressed up as Dwight Goodman from Dodgeball.
Okay, yeah. Love Dodgeball. It's a good one.
And so I dressed up as him, but yours are way more complex. So when Halloween comes, I'm gonna go ahead and reach out to you and say, "Hey, Frankie, can you give me a few good inspirations? I need inspo."
No, I think there's nothing wrong with the classic. You know, there's nothing wrong. I mean, I've been as a vampire. Like, there's nothing wrong with it. It's a good time. I think it's fun as long as you're dressing up. Yeah, it's good with me.
Yeah, it's a good time. All right, here's the chat pack question. If you could have any object or place in the world completely to yourself for one day, what would you choose?
An object. Okay, I think I'm going to go place in the world because I don't really know what having an object to myself. I think you already have objects to yourself.
Yeah, what is that? Yeah, I didn't. that part confused me.
Like the Mona Lisa, I guess is what they're talking about. Like an object you normally can't have. But no, I'm chill off that. I don't really need that. A place to myself. I have to think, like, do I want to go, like, I feel like my first instinct is, like, Area 51. I don't know why. But, like, I feel like I'd want to, like, explore, like, something that's super off-limits and secretive. Yeah. Like, something that, like, not even, like, only, like, not even the president gets to go to. Like you know, like, the really, really secret stuff.
Yeah. Like only Frankie.
Yeah, like underground, like cave, like something. I love a secret passageway, so maybe like something like Area 51 or like the tomb, like King Tut's tomb. Like
that would be sick.
Like I would love to go in because you can't like go into like the cool places, like you know in like really old places they have like the really cool stuff blocked off.
Yeah,
I'd want to go in like. But, like, the 1960s King Tut's tomb. Like, before everything was taken out. Before everything was, like, stolen from it, you know? Like, I wanna go, like, into, like, 1960s, like, tomb. King Tut tomb.
That's a cool one. That's a good one. All right, I got one more question. I'm going to add it to the screen here. Ready?
All right.
Let's see if you can see it. All right, here we go. Okay, who is the goat scarer?
The goat scarer? Like, who would scare a goat?
No, like, who's the greatest of all time?
I swear to God, I know what that means. I was like, that doesn't make sense.
Is it Sully or is it Randall?
Personally, I have to go because when I was a kid, my parents called me Boo because I looked like Boo and I would like fall asleep like exactly like her. Like I would be running around and like completely pass out. So for me, I always thought that Sully was cute and Randall creeped the fuck out of me. So I will go Randall because I think Randall is I don't know, like I think Randall's just scarier when you watch it as like an actual person. Like Sully is just I don't know. Even if I saw him in real life, I'd be like, Teddy, like, I want to give you a hug. Like, you're fuzzy and fluffy.
Yeah. It's hard, right? Because Sully's generational. He's a generational scarer. But Randall, you're right. He's scary. Like, can you imagine some motherfucker just like slithering around and you're like, you can hear it, but you can't see him because he can go invisible. Like that's a little
like,
much.
Sully would only be scary if he was like genuinely trying to maul you. Like, but he doesn't want to do that. If he's like screaming, like if I saw a bear, like I've always wanted to hug a grizzly bear, right? Like I'm not afraid of like a bear roaring at me. Yeah. Like unless they like physically are about to attack me, like I'm not afraid of a bear roaring. That's just like communicating to me, you know? I don't know. Yeah. But I don't know. At the same time, I also love snakes and like reptiles, but I don't know. I think it's the
Yes, that's what I mean. It's if I'm sleeping and somebody just screams, that's gonna scare me. Yeah, of course, and I'm gonna be annoyed, but I'll be pissed. I'll be like, get the hell away from me.
If but you know what's going on.
Right. If I just hear someone slithering around and I'm trying to find it and then they're camouflaging the wall and I don't know where it is, that's going to creep me out. I'm going to be like, what is going on? Yeah.
The fear of the unknown. And honestly, I know this isn't what you were talking about, but I think that's like the man versus bear thing. It's the fear of the unknown. Like, you know what a bear's going to do. You know what Sully's going to do. Like, Sully, like, it makes sense, you know? Like,
it does.
I just think it's scary.
I'm with you. I'm with you on that.
That's not, I know you weren't asking about that, but like, it's just what it reminded me of.
And I found out that you don't know what greatest of all time.
I do. I swear to God, I know what goat means. I just like had like a really dumb moment for a second. I'm not blonde, but I had a blonde moment for a second. Like I am legitimately Gen Z, and I forgot I have mascara on. I literally know what goat means, but
You're jet lagged.
I'm honestly not jet lagged. I'm just kind of dumb a little bit.
Frankie, I'm trying to help you out with the excuses.
No, there isn't an excuse. It's fine.
I do. All right.
I think that Sully would scare a goat, though. I think he'd be more scary to a goat.
That's a really good point. Because the goat would be afraid that he would eat him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah.
All right, Frankie, thank you so much for jumping on the pod.
Me.
Where can folks stay up to date and all that you do? Why don't you plug yourself in? Everything that you need to do, plug yourself in.
So here's my plugs. I'm Frankie Torres Music on Instagram. And if TikTok doesn't get banned, I'm Frankenstein 3 on TikTok. I got all my music on all the platforms, Spotify, Apple Music, Pandora, YouTube, Amazon, whatever you want. Frankie Torres, 2 R's, E-S, not Z. I know some people in the Midwest, they always think it's a Z. So Frankie Torres on all the music platforms. Check me out. I am putting out a new single soon, and I'm in the middle of recording it, and hopefully there's going to be a few voice contestants featuring on that too. So we will see. That'll be a really fun project I'm working on. And yeah, just check me out on Instagram. My personal website is frankietorresmusic.com. Super easy. And it's got all that information as well. So just check me out. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for plugging yourself in. I don't think I've ever had an episode where I teared up, but my cheeks hurt from smiling ear to ear at the same time, except this one. So that is going to do it for this episode of the Reyes Reflection Podcast. Big thanks to our sponsors, ARAVE Cards, Jocko Fuel, Mad Rabbit Tattoo Aftercare, and SMACKIN Sunflower Seeds for supporting today's episode. And to all our listeners, remember, may you live, may you love, and may you thrive. I'm Oprah as a dude, and I love you all.